Hey everyone, good morning. Good morning. It's Rebecca Undum, and you are watching Rebecca Undum Live. It's Monday morning, and I had an awesome weekend. I don't know about you guys, what you've been doing or what you did. Maybe you can post that in the video when you say, hey girl, hey to me this morning. You can let me know what you were up to. I went to a Billy Joel concert with some of my friends in Minneapolis at Target Field. You know, outdoor concert, music that you know and love. Like it was awesome. We had a great time. So I would love to know what you guys did this weekend. Hopefully it was enjoyable. So this is my little corner of Facebook. Every Monday I have broadcasted live now for the past morning glow. And you tried to stay cool. I know it was hot this weekend, wasn't it? I've been broadcasting now. I think this is our 6th or 7th week. And we just basically tackle little topics and in hopefully 20 to 30 minute little sections, 20 minutes. We always have this preamble at the beginning. But just little topics that can easily make life better, more enjoyable. My whole thing is not just to love your life better, but to love people better, improve relationships, and love yourself better. That's kind of where it all starts. So much of this is mindset stuff. So, hey, Molly, going to Canada. I will post the link. Yes, I will post the link in the free Groove Seekers community. That's something else I should mention before we get into the topic today. If you're looking for a little extra connection, two things. First, I have a free Facebook group. It's group on here. It's called the Groove Seekers Community. You can check that out. It's free. And we just share fun stuff in there. And again, it's kind of topical. All my blogs get posted there, that kind of thing. And then also, if you're really looking for extra support, I encourage you highly to check out Groove School. Groove School is my online coaching program. Where really the accountability level is ramped up quite a bit from where we're at in the free group. So just a couple options for you. For those of you that don't know me, if you're like, why would I join any of those things? I'm Rebecca Undum, author of How Mommy Got Her Groove Back, founder of Groove School, and personal development junkie and rural mother. Live out in the middle of nowhere. And so my whole life's goal with my work is to really reach women that just need that extra level of support and encouragement to accomplish the things they want to do in their lives. I tend to attract career-oriented women that might be businesses that they run themselves, but oftentimes the women I work with have that inner drive. And then a lot of times it's coupled with living in a place where maybe they don't feel like other people are vibrating at that same speed. If that sounds like you, either connect with me, check out Groove School, but we should really talk. Okay? So with that, before we get into the topic today, which is perfectionism, like the suckiest of sucky things to fall victim to. So we're going to talk about perfectionism, kind of how it manifests, what to do about it, and how to basically break the cycle of it. But before we do that, last week on Rebecca Undum Live, if you missed that one, we talked about being authentic and showing up full strength you. And I had said that I would give a book away to, if you made a comment or shared something about what it is that you struggle with authenticity, that I would do a drawing. Well, there were only 3 views. So because I'm feeling uber generous today, and I actually love giving my books away to people. So we had Mavis that commented, we had Amy Dagan that commented, and we had Leanne Sherman that commented. I will be sending all 3 of you a signed copy of my book. Now, if you've already read it and you're like, I already have it, gift it to somebody. Gift it to a woman that you maybe could use a little boost in her own groove. That is totally what love is all about. Just share it, okay? So congratulations to you 3. So without further ado, let's talk about perfectionism. So I am a lifelong perfectionist, and so I always joke that I like to think of myself as being in recovery because I know better and I am trying to do better. It's a challenging thing. So one of the things, my whole life, I have been a woman. It was a little girl earlier, right? That had super high standards, expectations, not just for myself, but for the way I looked. It's always mattered to me. My house, like how clean my house is. If I'm gonna do a job, like I come from this family that's like, we don't half-ass things. Like if you're gonna do it, you do it with full gusto. And so that's that high level, that high achieving kind of expectational thing. My whole life, I've gotten a decent amount of crap about that. Like, you're just so tightly wound, and you're just so type A, and I am, and a little bit of a control freak, right? But that is not actually what perfectionism is. So that's high standards. That's having and desiring and chasing and pursuing high standards. Perfectionism is when we use it as an actual mask to shield ourselves from feeling bad, basically to put on a facade or to put on a front. There's a different level of danger with perfectionism as it actually is versus just having high standards. So I first just wanted to talk about that because I think sometimes we assume if we're like super high achieving and type A that makes us a perfectionist, and it does not. Because I think as I've gotten older and I've started to really grasp that difference, I recognize when my high standards are preventing me from actually allowing myself to be seen as I really am, and that's when it becomes this trap. So there's a few things I want to share about perfectionism, and then I'm going to give you a few thoughts about how we can actually break ourselves free of it. And it's small steps. Aside from going to like actual counseling, sometimes it is just small, little, sustainable things that you can do and change one at a time. You don't have to tackle them all at once. Okay, so the first thing is that perfectionism is actually, it's like a cycle. It becomes a trap. And so how it works is that if we don't allow room, let's say we're embarking on a new thing, we're starting a new job, or we're starting a diet plan. How's that for you ladies, right? Because like I'm always trying to figure out what the hell is going on with my body and like why I can't just seem to lose this. I have like 10 pounds of fluff that just frickin' hang on and I don't know why. Okay, so I'm always like, here, maybe this will be the thing and maybe this will be the thing. Okay, so whatever it is that we're starting, if we adhere to everything with such rigidity and perfection that we don't allow for any mistakes or we don't allow for any flaws or any imperfection, we set ourselves up for colossal disappointment, right? Because obviously we're human beings and we're going to screw up. And it's like logically we know that. We know that everybody makes mistakes. But when we don't allow that for ourselves and we put up that mask of like, no, everything's good and everything's perfect and, you know, no mistakes going on here, when we try to put that out to the world, it naturally, something eventually will happen. A mistake will happen, or we won't see the results we want right away. Naturally, that's going to lead us to think that had we just sucked less or been better, that those things wouldn't have happened to us, which only causes us to pursue being perfect all the more. Now, really think about that. That is about the most defeating thing you can possibly imagine. Like this trap of believing, if only I had been better, then that wouldn't have happened. So I'm just going to keep trying to get better and keep trying to be perfect. It's an impossible thing to try and keep up. So first of all, it's recognizing that it's a trap and learning how to break it. The second thing is that perfectionism really robs us of celebration of the good things. So this example for me of always trying to lose weight, right? Or just drop a few little pounds here and there. It's so frustrating because like I'll try a new program and I will follow it to perfection. And then if I don't see the results I think I'm supposed to get, then I start to get down on myself and I get angry. And instead of like taking stock of what went well and what's going well, right? Saying like, do I have more energy? Am I fueling my body better? So it's sometimes we get fixated on what that result ought to be, and we lose sight of the bigger picture, which is really all of the wins that you can celebrate along the way. So I think it's really important to recognize that when we're striving to put up this facade that everything's perfect, more than likely we're not really all that in tune with all the good that's already happening. So it's about recognizing what is going well instead of always being fixated on what we're not getting or the result that's not happening. Perfectionism keeps us from learning. God, you know, so many women that I talk to, and I think guys will do this too, when we are starting something or we're going to put something out to the world, we are waiting. We sit back and we wait. And we're waiting until everything is perfect, whether it's the timing is perfect or the product or whatever it is that we're putting out to the world is perfect. Maybe we don't pick up the phone and make an important phone call until we feel like our language is perfect. So we wait and we hesitate. And here, the biggest danger with that is that we learn by doing. Everybody does. And imperfect action still yields results because it's action and it's forward moving. And the whole thing is we know, again, these are logical things. We know that we learn from the journey. Some of the most important things you've probably ever learned in your life, you learned the hard way. And it's because it's not something you could prepare yourself for. Constantly along the journey, whatever that journey is, if it's weight or if it's business or if it's a new relationship, there's going to be obstacles that pop up along the way. And there's no way you can anticipate what those are going to be and somehow figure out how to problem solve them ahead of starting. You have to start in order to grow and in order to get better. And perfectionism often keeps us from starting. And so I just want to remind you, we can't start a journey or learn from a journey that we haven't started because we're too afraid to try, or we're too afraid of looking stupid or making a mistake, or whatever the thing is that's holding you back from starting. Perfectionism is robbing you of that. And then really the last thing is that perfectionism makes it impossible for us to connect with other people. And I think so perfectionism, we have this idea that if I present this perfect facade to people, that I'll appear like I have it more together, or that I'm smarter and I'm more competent. If it's on the health side, this perfectionism thing is like, look at, I'm amazing and I care so much, and it's like it ends. We think that it portrays passion and enthusiasm and commitment and dedication, and all it does is it presents this image that other people feel they can't even relate to, because seriously, we know that we screw up, but when you look at somebody else and you think that they never make a mistake and that they're perfect at everything, the last thing you feel like doing is hanging out with that person. So I mean, really, who wants to be, perfect and alone? So the striving to put out the front or the facade that we're perfect, it keeps us from having people in our lives. It keeps us from attracting people. It keeps us from connecting with people. And if it's business or it's personal, that it's isolating and debilitating, and we aren't meant to walk any journey all alone. So no matter where it is in your life that perfectionism creeps up for you, I encourage you to just really think about these things. I'm not perfect either, Steph, by any means, but the problem is when we think we have to try and present this idea that we don't ever screw up. And it really comes for us, it comes into the sense where it keeps us from trying things. So like live videos are something that a lot of people that are running small businesses or businesses for themselves could do. And they'll never do it, or they're not doing it now because they're absolutely terrified of screwing up or making a mistake. That is a hint of perfectionism. So Maddie, it's a daily battle. Yeah, it is, isn't it? And I recover from it too, because I find myself saying, well, I could share that, but I don't know. And then it's constantly what are people going to think about that? What are people going to say about me? And the thing is, if it's honest and it's true, it already is going to be imperfect. And that's beautiful. And so just always remembering what is really holding me back from taking action, from moving forward, from starting, or from doing whatever it is that you're afraid to do. Is it that I'm afraid of the fear of looking stupid, the fear of making a mistake, the fear of what people are going to say, any of those things? This is a hint of perfectionism. Okay, so here's a few things that we can do to it's almost like cultivating imperfectionism, like allowing ourselves to feel and be a little bit imperfect. The first is honestly to remind ourselves every day that we're actually doing the best that we can. And that sounds really lame and super cliche, but the truth is, day to day, my best looks different. Like when I feel really good, my best is better than when I'm kind of sick, right? So recognizing that we also don't have to be perfectly consistent, that we're human beings, and so to allow ourselves to kind of ebb and flow with our own quality of work, okay? Every single day, ending the day, asking the question, what did I learn today? And I'm telling you, if you can look back in the day and you can't really think of anything you learned, you probably aren't pushing yourself hard enough in a bold way. Because learning comes from those mistakes or those things we try where we're like, ugh, and it's a mistake perhaps, but so what? You learn something from it, and it's something you either won't do again, or maybe you'll do it differently next time. You can't figure those things out without starting and trying. So asking yourself every single day what you learned, it constantly forces you to analyze, have I taken enough action today. Because perfectionism keeps us from acting. And that nothing good comes from that over analyzing and waiting for something to somehow magically become perfect. This is so important. This next one is being at least as good to yourself as you would to a friend in your life. I really want you ladies that are watching and that will listen to this on the replay, and men too, frankly, you think about how you talk to yourself. And when you screw up or when you make a mistake, I have a good friend that's coming in my mind right now, and I hope she watches this on the replay. I'll just give this little hint to her. She's several time zones ahead, just so it never works for her to watch this live. But I collaborated with her on this project, and we went to do this project, and the whole thing, it was a live broadcast, and the technology on her end, it just completely fell apart. And literally, there's nothing she could do. She couldn't come back to us. We couldn't make it work. It was heartbreaking to be on the other end of it. And I just kept talking, and we went through it and got all the way done with it. And she really beat herself up over this for a little while. And in talking to her, it's one of those things. She's so encouraging and so loving and so supportive. Had it been me, she never would have talked to me the way I know she talked to herself, at least for those couple of days. She eventually brought herself up, picked herself up and moved on. But man, why is it that we're so damn hard on ourselves when we make mistakes? When a friend comes to you and says, this is what I did, I screwed up. We don't look at them and then berate them for it. We don't look at them and say, well, yeah, you're right. You really do suck. And you really probably never should have done that to begin with, because had you just stayed where you were, none of this would have happened. Right? But that's absolutely what we tell ourselves when things don't go well. We've got to start to flip that script and listen to that voice and acknowledge it for what it is. And in Groove School, we went through this whole thing where we really named our inner bizzo, like we called her a bizzo. It's the woman, it's the voice, it's in your head that's constantly criticizing every damn thing you do. And we all have an inner critic. The most successful of all people have an inner critic. But what that inner bizzo does is tries to deter you from doing anything that steps you outside of your comfort zone. That inner bizzo's voice is in there to keep you safe. And just to remind you that if you don't try anything new, then nothing bad's ever going to happen. But so the whole thing is to recognize it for what it is and decide not to listen to it. And just to say, yeah, you know what? I did screw up. So what? I learned and I'm growing, and this is what I do. This is who I am. I'm a person who grows. Okay? So be at least as good to yourself as you would to a friend. Remembering that our imperfections are what make us connected to other people. That's what I just shared with you earlier. It's one of those things that's so easy to forget, that people want real. So if you're running a business and you use social media, your posts, your videos, your language, it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be real, because people want to hear you. They don't want to hear some perfectly constructed marketing message. That's the truth. And so marketing is really much more about getting down deep with who you really are and letting some of that messiness eke out along the way. Because it will show, it will come out one way or the other. And rather than it being a full-scale breakdown, it'd be better if it were just a little bit of messiness eked out over time. Okay, and then the very last thing is really just to give yourself a break. Cut yourself a little slack. Like, there are days when just showing up is good enough. And so this constantly, this constant striving, sometimes just to remember that we can have an off day. Everybody has an off day. And so to cut yourself some slack, give yourself a little grace and allow yourself to just be sometimes is all it really takes. So those are a few ideas that I have for you on how to just kind of calm that craziness in your head that's reminding you or telling you or constantly making you feel as if you aren't good enough. To start, to succeed, to thrive, that voice is not truthful and it's not honest, and you don't have to listen to it. So here's what I'm looking for from you guys. Again, like every week, I want to give away at least one copy of my book. So today, as you listen to this, the comments, or as you know, if you listen to this on replay or if you're watching live, just answer this for me. I want you to consider a time when perfectionism truly held you back. Like, just give us a quick scenario, like what happened, or, what was happening, or what did it hold you back from? And if you comment in that, then on next week's call, we'll do the live drawing and I'll send you a free copy, signed copy of my book. And again, if you've read it, you can always gift it. It'll be signed. Okay. Okay. So that's what I've got for you today on perfectionism. The other thing to always know is that with these live calls, you can get a free copy of the Groove Finder's Guide series, which is the companion workbook to my main book. Just by clicking on the link. It's RebeccaUndom.com/workbook, and I will put that in the comments for you. Please go out and get it. You'll get, I think it's about 80, I always say this, I don't always remember, I think it's 86 pages. It's long. There's a lot of content in there for you, and you can work through those topics as you please. Also, be sure you check out Groove School. Also, be sure you check out the Groove Seekers community. I can't stress this part enough, that none of this is meant to be journeyed alone. None of us can get through these kinds of things alone. And if you are suffering in silence by yourself, struggling, it doesn't have to be that way. Reach out. That's what me and the other Groove Seekers, this is what we're all about. Okay? So with that, I wish you the most perfectly imperfect day, filled with lots of screw-ups, F-ups, and mistakes, because that way you'll be learning and you'll be growing. And you'll be doing. Just do. Take action. Start something. And you'll be amazed at what you will learn. It is so much more freeing than being trapped and bogged down by those feelings that everything has to be just perfect before you can make a move. Okay? Love you all so much. Thank you so much for joining me again live. And I will see you all soon. Groove on, everybody. Have a great one.